Hello everyone, welcome to the new video tutorial of bioentac. In the last session we have dealt about the vascular tissue system, that is xylem and phloem. In this session we'll be dealing with the secretory tissue system, that is a tissue system which helps in secretion of certain biomolecules. So if you're new to this channel, subscribe to it and enable the bell icon to get daily notifications. So without wasting time, let's get on with the video. Secretory tissue system, as I have mentioned a few minutes before, that is the tissue system which helps in secretion or excretion of certain biological macromolecules or biomolecules, not biological macromolecules, biomolecules, which may be waste to the plant or may be useful to the plants. Anyway, the tissue system which helps in secretion or excretion is generally termed as secretory tissue system. It is broadly of two types. The first one is the lactiferous tissue system and the second one is glandular tissue system. The lactiferous tissue system, name itself suggests it helps in secretion of latex. The latex is secreted by this lactiferous tissue system, and the glandular tissue system, which may be produce certain resins or gums like that. So such biomolecules or waste products are seen in this glandular tissue system. Now the lactiferous tissue system is again divided into two, that is the latex vessels and then latex cells. And the glandular tissue is again divided into two, that is internal and external. It's based upon where it is seen on the plant. Internal means deep in the cortex or in the internal parts of the tissues of the plant, but external it's generally seen in the epidermis. For example, glandular hairs is an example of external glandular tissue. So let's see each one briefly. Okay, now let's see the first briefly about introduction about lactiferous tissue system, which is really important concerning the introduction. The first point is thin wall. The cells or the cell wall of the lactiferous tissues or cells is thin walled, and it is highly branched because it has to secrete latex in all parts of the plant. So it is highly branched ducts are present, and the important point here is that it secretes latex in the plant. And concerning to the entrance point of view, the most important point is that it contains numerous nuclei. So questions might be asked, and it has already asked in the previous years also, the numerous nuclei associated with which type of tissue system. It is actually lactiferous tissue system and secretory tissue system. So that's all the introduction about lactiferous tissue system. Now let's see the two divisions of lactiferous tissue system. Okay, the first one, that is the latex vessels, is also known as articulate latex ducts. So latex vessels is nothing but it is a complex network. It is actually a complex network formed by the anastomizing network of many cells. So it forms the vessel system is formed by a combination of networking of branching of many latex cells together, or many cells. Simply we can say that cells, or it forms a complex network by joining many branches and ducts. So it is complex network seen in the plant, and it has frequent branching and it has complex network. That's a really important point concerning to this. And another entrance point is that the Carica papaya, normally in plants the latex vessels are seen in the phloem, but in the case of Carica papaya it is also seen in the xylem. So it is seen in both xylem and phloem. So that's an important point. And in certain plants, poppy and all, poppy like opium etc., the latex vessels are seen, not latex cells. It is actually latex vessels which is seen in these plants. So that's all about latex vessels. Now let's see the latex cells. Now the second one, that is latex cells, is also known as non-articulated latex ducts, whereas in the case of other one we have seen is articulated latex ducts, but it is other name of latex cells is non-articulated latex ducts. Now as similar to the latex vessels, it is also highly branched, but the difference is that it has independent units. And another point is that it originates at minute units, single independent minute units are first born in the plant and then it elongates by growth. So that's the difference between latex vessels and latex cells. Now it is seen in Calotropis, Euphorbia, Nerium, Ficus etc. So in this plant it's not latex vessels, it is latex cells that is seen which secrete the latex. Now another important point, as I have mentioned before, in the case of latex cells is that in Vinca, rosea and cannabis the latex vessels are seen only in the primary phloem, and it's actually absent in secondary tissue. It is absent in secondary tissue, it is seen only in the primary phloem. So that is an important point. So it is only seen in the primary phloem and it is absent in the secondary tissues. So that's all we have to discuss about latex cells and lactiferous tissue system. Now let's focus on glandular tissue system. Glandular tissue system, the main thing here is that it may act as secretory or excretory system, excretory tissue system, that is, it helps in the excretion of unwanted plant products or biomolecules, or we can say simply as molecules which is not needed to the plant. So example is the resins and all. So like that, excretion also, it also helps in excretion and also in secretion, whereas in the case of latex or lactiferous tissue system, we have seen that it is also only function is secretion, but it is in this case it is also helps in excretion. Now the important point is parenchymatous, and the very important difference between lactiferous tissue system and the glandular tissue system is that it has a single large nucleus in the cell. That is not, it is not sinusoidal or multinucleate as in the case of lactiferous tissue system. It has abundant protoplasm and a single large nucleus, and it is parenchymatous in nature. That is the point you have to notify or remember in this case of glandular tissue system. Now let's see the two classifications of glandular tissue system. Okay, now the first one is the internal glandular tissue system, which we have to discuss in the glandular tissue system. What we have to focus here is that we have to mention some of the internal glands in the plants. That's all we have to discuss here. So first, internal glands. These are the glandular tissue systems which is in the internal parts of the plant, not in the epidermis, because in the epidermis which we see is the external glandular tissue system. So some of the examples or some of the type of the internal glandular tissue systems in the plants are: first one is oil glands in the citrus, the mucil secreting glands in the betel leaf, the tannins, gums, residues are all parts of the internal glandular tissue system. And the digestive glands, which is seen in the insectivorous plants, are part of internal glands, and the hydathodes, that's water secreting gland, is also an internal glandular tissue system. So that's what we had to focus on: internal glandular system, glandular tissue system, and let's now focus on the external glandular tissue system. Finally, the external glands. These are the glandular tissue system which we see in the epidermis of the plant. The most important element of external glandular tissue system is the glandular hairs, which we see in the plants. So these glandular hairs, it may secrete gummy substances, it may secrete some irritating or poisoning substance in certain plants to protect from the its predators or its danger, to protect itself from danger. So the glandular hairs secrete poison or irritating substance, and it also helps in secretion of nectar, and sometimes enzymes are also secreted. So that's all we have to discuss about the external glandular tissue system, which the main important point you have to focus here is that it is the glandular hairs which is mostly seen in the external glandular tissue system in the epidermis. So that's all for today's video. If you have any doubts or confusions regarding this topic, mail it to bioentac@gmail.com. So wait till next video.